Hi, my name is Edward Dodorados, and this is my final capstone presentation. The purpose of my study is to examine teacher reports of using small groups to deliver feedback and promoting student engagement in middle school mathematics classrooms in a suburban school. The question I followed is, what are teacher reports of implementing small groups to deliver feedback and promoting student engagement in middle school mathematics classrooms in a suburban school setting? I started with a literature review, and some of the initial findings were that feedback is one of the most effective ways to provide learning opportunities, with Herzog University finding that it was surveyed to be the most impactful strategy for understanding. I found that small group intervention can better personalize instruction by creating math centers and small groups. We can better differentiate within our content area. And small group feedback ties directly into universal learning. As a part of a bigger book, there's a section of visible learning, a synthesis of over 800 meta-analysis relating to achievement that found that feedback is one of the most effective forms of instruction, and individualizing it is very universal design for learning heavy. In terms of data collection methods, we started with a photo voice methodology in which participants were given a prompt related to the interview they're about to take, and they took photographs based off those prompts. There's an example of one of the photographs taken, my Show Your Work wall, which has been torn down and will be rebuilt with the start of trimester 2 in my district. Prompts given to students include small group delivery, feedback integration, and creating a learning environment with personalization. We also used a semi-structured interview guide in which interviews were pre-planned, but were flexible enough to allow for conversation as they went along. We had follow-up questions built into each category and each question to keep details flowing and keep the conversation alive whenever it was to falter. I had 4 participants in my study. I had 2 teachers, one more veteran than the other. I had the math interventionist at the middle school and the grades 6 through 8 middle school math department head. The analysis approach I used for the data collected was the 3 C's model, in which I started with codes, beginning with about 25 codes taken from the raw interview data. These were just keywords and phrases I kind of highlighted. These were funneled into categories. I had 5 categories coming from my codes, which were then created or developed into concepts or 3 major themes. The 3 themes I came away with were student-centered feedback supports mastery, small group feedback implements UDL principles naturally, and practicality depends on classroom structure and teacher prep time. And there is my small group table in my classroom. Finding number 1, student-centered feedback drives mastery. It became apparent that running feedback through small groups allowed for more student ownership. They felt more in tune with the corrections they were making through the feedback process. We can better positively personalize the framing of our feedback. Sometimes feedback can come off negatively as we are looking to correct errors, but we can look at that more positively within a small group. And the clear link to mastery kept coming up throughout the interviews. By correcting mistakes in a small group setting, one-on-one, correcting these errors, building on them, we can better link and build towards mastery in different content areas. Small group feedback is a path to UDL. By doing things in a small group, we can better differentiate than we could in a large group setting. The differentiation ties directly into UDL, which really wants us to personalize and individualize the way we look at helping our students, given that they all have different learning styles and unique ways of looking at things. The final finding that I found was outside of the academic realm, but really the practicality requires structure and time. Teachers always need more prep time, and this is not exempt from that. Personalized feedback takes time and detail, and they would need time, teachers would need time to really master that. Classroom management is a must. The groups are small, as has been mentioned, meaning most of the class is doing something else while they're not in the group. In order for this to run effectively, the other students need to be working on something and working on something quietly. Solid structure in and out of the group is key. Within the group, we need to be able to organize our feedback so that the group runs smoothly and we can kind of cycle through the entire class, given that periods don't run forever. Outside of the group, there needs to be a classroom structure that allows for focus within and out of the group. Participant 1 left me with an awesome quote. Delivering feedback in small groups can truly bridge the gap between misunderstanding and mastery through its targeted nature. We are it's easier to target within these small groups what's going wrong. Three recommendations I walked away with. The first one was teachers should be using small groups to deliver feedback in the general education classrooms. All data points towards it's effective. Encouraging students to view feedback groups in a positive manner. Feedback can sometimes run negative given we're attacking mistakes and looking to improve on mistakes, but we can better look at that positively when we're really building these relationships in these groups. And the third one is administrators and department heads should allow teachers necessary prep time for effective feedback if we're to take this seriously. I had an action plan for professional development to integrate small group feedback into the classroom, and I'll break it down now. Week 1, I was looking at an introduction, just some general brainstorming across teachers in both the math and STEM fields of what we think effective feedback looks like and how it can be integrated into the classroom in different ways. Step 2 is why it matters, using research and numbers. Why is feedback important and how is it effective for students? We really want a staff buy-in into this idea. Week 3, I was looking at a trial in which teachers acted as students and kind of rotated through roles. Sometimes the teacher would be the teacher, sometimes the teacher would be the student, and we kind of rotate through giving feedback, reflecting on what's working, what's not working, and trying to bridge some gaps. Week 4, we're looking at what effective structure and classroom management looks like when we're giving small group feedback. We need to really determine how we can build a structure in and out of the group that works and is effective. The third one is feedback practices, or the last one, I'm sorry. The last week would be feedback practices, in which we look at samples of errors and how to effectively tell students where they're going wrong, how to improve, and what that looks like for different styles of learners. Resources are always needed: whiteboards, sticky notes, pens, pencils, how we can leave feedback. Of course, time, and we would need some pre-made worksheets with errors that we could use as samples throughout the course. And that's all. Thank you.